Hi, this is Richard Fields with this week's Report from the Fields. I spent a lot of airtime documenting the voluminous ways that Donald Trump gets policy 180 degrees wrong. But in fairness, he does get a few things right. One is deregulation, specifically deregulation of the nuclear power industry. Without energy, modern civilization would grind to a halt, impoverishing billions and causing widespread starvation. Muscle power simply cannot do what mechanical and electrical power can do. Not to mention that muscles are fueled by agriculture, which is itself highly dependent on power. Be it fossil fuel, solar, wind, water, or nuclear, energy is an absolute necessity. Fossil fuels are efficient, but the trade-off is that they produce air pollution as an undesirable neighborhood effect. Wind and solar have their own neighborhood effects, namely the necessity of mining the materials needed to manufacture wind and solar equipment. They require a lot of real estate per kilowatt hour produced, and they don't provide the necessary momentum to keep power systems going when the wind stops blowing and the sun goes down. The recent countrywide power outage in Spain demonstrates that problem. The one source of energy that avoids all of these problems is nuclear power. For those worried about greenhouse gas emissions, nuclear generates between 1 and 4% of what fossil fuels emit. Nuclear produces negligible other air pollutants. Nuclear waste volumes are quite small and can be managed quite easily. The number of deaths caused by nuclear power, including Chernobyl and Fukushima, is infinitesimal compared to every other power generation method, save solar and wind. The only thing holding back the widespread use of nuclear generation of electrical power is fear-based regulation. The Trump administration, to its credit, has issued executive orders streamlining approval of nuclear power plants. Just in time, we're now seeing the advent of small modular reactors, SMRs, that can be mass-produced and shipped to where they are needed. They can easily be sited on the footprint of an old coal-fired power plant. Each SMR produces enough power to supply anywhere from 7,000 to 214,000 homes. They can be hooked up in parallel to produce power for larger cities, or, say, AI data processing centers. NuScale Power has already received Nuclear Regulatory Commission approval on their design and has plans to go into commercial operation in 5 years. That is a fraction of the time needed for approval of old-style nuclear power plants. Streamlined regulatory processes mean that there will eventually be lots of competition. There are already up to 95 companies working on commercializing SMRs worldwide. The only downside to the Trump initiative to deregulate approval of nuclear power is that it was accomplished by executive order. Lasting change on regulation needs to actually go through Congress. Otherwise, NIMBYs can pressure the next president to reverse Trump's very wise executive order. But with government configured the way it is right now, we'll have to take what we can get. That's this week's Report from the Fields. I'm Richard Fields. See you again next week.